Bang 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 bow.
That's right.
What he said.
Yep, exactly. What Myron said. So yeah, this is it. So what's going on, fellas? How was the week? And all that. I mean, I'll tell
Work,
you what. Work, 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 work.
work as always. Work was brutal, but I'm glad it's Friday and got some new toys coming in, movies. So I'm stoked for the weekend, and hopefully these items will show up on time.
Awesome. What items? What you got coming down the pipe, man?
Well, I ordered a Razer Pantera Dragon Ball Fighter Z fight stick um, for the PS4. So, with a lot of fighting games coming out in 2021, specifically, really stoked for Guilty Gear Strive and King of Fighters 15. I wanted to get an updated fight stick. I know, like, you recently got the 8-Bito and, you got that Blaze Blue Tournament Edition stick, and I've always wanted like a bigger, more solid fight stick. I have a Street Fighter 4 Mad Cats that I had with the PS3, and it's still cool, still works. I recently upgraded the buttons with some sidewall parts and a ball or bat top joystick, but I wanted something like really solid. And I found out that Mad Cats doesn't produce fight sticks anymore. So I forgot how I found out about it, but I randomly came across this Dragon Ball Razor, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna drop on this. So I got a custom Dragon Ball ball top for the joystick, the 4-star Dragon Ball to represent Goku's Dragon Ball he had when he was a kid. And hopefully it comes in the mail Saturday so I could start playing some of these fighters with a genuine arcade stick again.
That sounds like a plan. That sounds something pretty awesome. Yeah, I did like my 8-bit dough stick. I replaced all the buttons with Sanwa buttons. I wanted to color code them myself, so
And actually, I was gonna pick that up too because that's what I was looking at, and eventually I will, like, because I do have a lot of fighting games for the Switch, like Blaze Blue, In Birth. I even got Dragon Ball Fighter Z on that Street Fighter collection. So I was actually, based off of your recommendation, ready to drop on that. But then, like, I was thinking too, on my PS4, PS5, I got like Tekken, Soul Calibur, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Street Fighter 5. I got like a gang of fighting games, and even like some import fighting games like The Shining. Oh crap, I forgot the name of it, but it's basically a Shining Force fighting game by Sega. Like, so just some random Japanese fighters that I've picked up throughout the years that I could really benefit, playing with an arcade stick. And lately I've just been watching a lot of YouTube videos too on like the fighting game community. There was a documentary that released recently on Amazon Prime called Game Changers, and just kind of illustrating like different people in the industry, like the professional gaming industry, whether they're in the fighting game community, the MOBA community, the FPS, kind of Counter Strike community, and it just kind of like riled up the fuels of like competitive gaming in me again. And so I was like, yeah, I really want to get back on Dragon Ball Fighter Z and get a little bit better. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get a fight stick and really start grinding that out until Guilty Gear and King of Fighters comes out.
well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, how about you, Jason? What's been happening in your section of the world, man?
Okay, still grinding my way through Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. I managed to get to the end of the campaign,
Nice.
and yeah, they got and it's like story the story was fine. It's like as fine as you can get for like a Warriors type game, even though it's like I was like I will admit like I like the interesting bit characters they created to fill out the roster because you can play as the one of the 10,000-year-old monks like from Breath of the Wild. You can play as all of the fairies you encounter, the big ones, the big girls. It's like
Mm.
and it's like It's like those were like the most like. Oh, and also Master Koga, like that goofy ass leader of the Yiga clan. It's like so it's like it's been fun, even though I don't think that Breath of the Wild is probably like a better setting for like a Zelda Warriors game, like than just the grab everything you can from every single game and throw it in. That effort that the first one had, but it's been pretty entertaining so far, and I'm still invested enough to go through and like invest in the post game stuff they set up for me as well. This is also as I found out early like late last week that holy crap, there's a game I actually want coming out this week. That's East 9 for the PS4.
East
So
9.
yeah, they're up to number 9 now. It's the second one for the PS4 in
Oh,
fact.
oh, E's like the Y.
Yeah, YS.
Oh,
YS
yeah.
pronounced East.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I used to, well, I've never beaten anyone in the series, but yeah, I mean, I love that series. Like I used to play it back in the days of Super Nintendo and, I have a couple for PSP and Vita, but yeah, damn, I didn't know that was coming out.
You and me both. I mean, I played like when you say back in the Super Nintendo era. I mean, yeah, same here. But I didn't play on the Super Nintendo. I played on my friend's TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because like, and I got it. The first two, like which are basically one game, are amazing. They've got an incredible soundtrack. That's every bit as good as you've heard. Because like everyone loves to talk about how great the music from the East games are, and they're not wrong. And like the first game's got some legendary tunes to it. Second, East 3 also has some legendary tunes to it, especially on the TurboGrafx release, because like they did some like the arrangements they put together for that were astonishing. They're in fact so much better than the game itself, which is just kind of like a low point for the series because they just thought, hey, let's turn this our overhead hack and slash or run and bump game into a side-scrolling platformer. Nope. And the fact that the story itself is just kind of cheesy, but it did have some astonishingly terrible voice acting, which was kind of surprising since the first East game for the TurboGrafx actually had some really good voice acting for that time. I mean, you listen to that and you think, wow, like they actually cared about the localization for this. For East 3, it's just kind of like, hell with it, man. It's like who's not busy in the office today? Who can we get to record it now?
That was then. This is now.
Yeah, and they've done like they've gotten better over the years. Even though it's like East 8 had a questionable translation at first, Nippon Ichi at least cared enough to go back and revise it. It's like in a big ass patch. Couple months down the line. 9, I have only dove into very briefly, but it's like, but I've got, it's like East has held a particular like steady line of quality over the years. So I'm just expecting like just some good solid action RPG stuff, and well, it's just a matter of like when I'll be able to dive into it.
Yeah, there's some bangers coming out this month then, because then does that come out next Friday?
Oh no, East came out on this last Tuesday.
Oh, it came out already. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that because like man, I already pre-ordered Mario 3D World, which comes out next Friday, and then
Me too.
and then I think whatchamacallit comes out this month too, another RPG, Bravely Default 2. And so because yeah, man, damn, I'm not gonna have time for all these damn RPGs.
Yeah, they also got Persona 5 Strikers coming out at the end of the month as well. That's like
Gotcha.
another like Dynasty Warriors type game. Even though I've
That's
heard
right.
that like the way they're doing it is that it's not going to be like you running around on a map fighting monsters. It's basically like it's got to be like the random like a Persona game, only the random battles it's like are now like fought in like a Dynasty Warriors style arena. So it's like an action RPG. So
And it's supposed to be a like an actual sequel.
yep, yeah. So if you couldn't get enough of the characters from the first game, I mean from Persona 5, then this is like the only way you're going to be able to see more of them.
So
Outside of buying Royal.
so let me ask you this: of these coming out this month, you got East, Persona 5 Strikers, and Bravely Default. Are you gonna get any combination of the three, or are you gonna stick with one? Wait till you pace yourself and beat that before you jump on the next one or buy the next one.
I'm going to pace myself because it's like I mean like, I've also got some leftover Christmas gifts on the PC that that need to give them their due as well.
Like what?
Oh, let's see. Let's see off the top of my head. I got Titanfall 2. It's like
Mm-mm.
I got Red Dead Redemption 2. But
Oh
I think
wow.
that some of this stuff is gonna have to wait like until I upgrade my PC, which I'm close to. I'm putting together something for that. But it's just a matter of like when is going to be the best time for like a good deal to happen. So
Right.
so like, but in the meantime though, I got plenty of other like stuff on console to keep me occupied. Like I even want to put cashing in like a Target gift certificate to buy like buy like the original Hyrule Warriors, like
Mm.
Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition for the Switch, because I was thinking like, hey, it's like playing through the original playing through Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity kind of reminds me how much I liked the original, and I it's like I'm kind of like just not feeling like the urge to go back and buy the like to pick up the my old slave on the my Wii U. So I'm just gonna like buy this one. Apparently, like they made a lot of changes to like streamline things and make it less of a grind than the
Hmm.
original was.
And see, that's the sad part too. Is like, a lot of these games we probably have or owned on Wii U, but at least for me, there's this compulsion to rebuy certain games for the Switch just because I feel the Switch is a little bit more convenient to play in the sense of like, pick up and play in dock mode or pick up and play, in handheld mode. But then, when you want to play docked with the, higher, with a higher resolution on your big screen TV, you can plop it in there. Whereas, I noticed like with the Wii U, like certain games and the resolution on the gamepad itself is just like I don't like it. Just it feels dated to me, even though it wasn't that long ago. But the Switch is just that much more cleaner and streamlined to just kind of hold in your hands and play for a longer period of time. Especially if you have like someone else in your household watching TV, or you want to have something playing in the background. Like there's a lot of games that came out on Wii U that I used to own that I find more valuable or got even extended value by playing it through Switch, especially like Bayonetta. Like I can play Bayonetta like anytime, dude. I love that game. And then Pokken Tournament. Like I was really pissed off that I had Pokken on the Wii U and they never came out with the DLC characters that they brought out in the arcade. And of course, once Switch came out, they came out with the definitive edition with all those added characters on there. So obviously, like I love the game and I want to play as like Krogunk. So obviously I was gonna buy it. And so like it kind of miffed me. Like, man, I'm paying $60 for this game again. However, in my opinion, like Nintendo's quality when it comes to games are worth the money. You know what I'm saying? Like Nintendo games rarely go on sale. Like the cheapest you might see it go on sale is like $40. But at the same time, like as much as most fans or most people might complain, like, man, this game is like 3 years old. Why is it still $60? Like, well, they give you a complete game that they don't have to like patch all the time, or it didn't launch like super broken. Like it's quality.
Yeah, Nintendo's games have a very long tail because they're so good that people keep buying them. It's like
Hmm.
years later. I mean, that the reason why they don't go down, they don't cut the price is because like they keep selling at that same level.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, have you heard the other piece of news regarding the PlayStation 5 sales in Japan?
No,
They are not going well.
really.
Yeah, they are
Okay, so
down.
they can send up some of them over here. Then we won't mind.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that it doesn't, for some reason, it does not appear to be popular according to VG charts, and it's not really picking up. Now here it is, but over there, and one of the things that they think it might be, and this is for me just speculation, is because there's more censorship supposedly on the PlayStation 5 games that are
Hmm.
happening,
Hmm.
and it's sort of like, and that's something that the Japanese people are not really into. So
Okay.
that is the kind of what's that, inside baseball kind of
Hmm.
a thing that I know Myron you like talking about, but it's just that's just what I've heard. So
Well, yeah, that's a possibility too, because I know, because Sony recently, like, reorganized like within the past couple of years to the worldwide studios, whereas like it used to be like Sony of America, Sony of Japan, Sony of Europe, and so now under this unified umbrella, I'm sure like there's certain policies and philosophies that have changed under the overall Sony branding and what Japanese consumers were normally accustomed to. Like, it might not fit the mold as what they were used to playing or receiving. But in my experience, PlayStation, being more so a Japanese focused central, or sorry, a more Japanese focused console, they've always gotten the Japanese focused games that I love to play.
Yep.
Like they're always going to get
Now that is it. I'm going to cut you off right there because I also heard this, that Microsoft is securing more of those licenses right now.
I heard rumors. And
I'm like, wait.
Mhm.
So here's my.
I will believe that when I see it.
Agreed.
Well, I mean, but it's not like a rumor or anything. I mean, that is actually I have read several articles based upon that. So it's kind of interesting, and this could be another PlayStation 3 thing. I don't know. I'm just, again, speculation on my behalf. I'm not, I'm not the expert.
PlayStation 3 thing.
Yeah, so to John's point, and I could totally see that too, where when the 360 came out, the 360 did lock a lot of dope exclusives. Like you can like to this day, you can only still play Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey on
Xbox 360.
on Xbox 360, and to a US market, Tales of Vesperia, and then damn, there was another one. There was two other RPGs.
Tales of Vesperia got a current gen remaster.
Yeah,
and
so I mean,
and it's not locked to Microsoft's console anymore.
Yes, not any longer until now, but before it used to be. Whereas it was locked to a Microsoft console for many years until they came out with that definitive edition. But even Microsoft had like exclusivity to DOA 4 and Ninja Gaiden at one point. So they did show the capacity that they can lock in and bring out like dope Japanese gaming franchises to their console. But then like that relationship got lost because for one, Xbox wasn't selling well in Japan, and two, like with the Xbox One kind of switching to that more media focused kind of
hey kids, Kinect is now built in.
Exactly. Like it just didn't fit the mold with what I guess the developing philosophy in Japan was at that time. So of course, like to John's point, like the PS3 was starting to lose it started to not gain like the upper hand when it came to like Japanese exclusives. It almost lost that, but then obviously like turn around like once Metal Gear and some of these JRPGs started coming out for like Kingdom Hearts.
I see. It's like it lost the battle initially, but eventually won the war thanks to Japan.
In a sense, yeah. But then, like to John's point, we could be seeing the same thing happening again.
But also going back to that. So if we're talking, sure, it's like I'm looking at VG charts right now, John. Sure, like PS5 only sold like 17,500 PS5s like in the week of January 23rd. You know how much the Xbox Series X sold?
Nope.
486.
Wow. In Japan?
In Japan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
and also looking at what their the lifetime sales so far, PS5 has outsold the Series X almost 10-1 in the region right now.
So, and I'd like to say, and I'd also think that's a very valid point of view. But in Japan, like, what's the number one selling console right now?
Switch.
Nintendo.
The Switch. This is
not even a competition right now.
To me, this feels like the Wii all over again. I'm not kidding you. The Wii sold. I mean, granted, it was less expensive than its competitors, which I think is still true with the Switch, right?
It is true. $300 versus 500.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But the Switch is fairly impressive, actually, in my opinion. I'm like, hey, that's you know, and yeah, I'm looking at the latest numbers here in the Japan area. So we have PS5 at 35,978 units versus the Switch at 450,000 units. So PS4 is still selling. How about that? So is the
Yeah,
3DS.
it's. I mean, who's to say those numbers aren't attributed to scalpers, like
Uh,
taking consoles away from the community? But either way, the PS5 is still going to. I to me, they're still probably going to get like the awesome, more obscure like Japanese games. Like, oh, I'm gonna throw out like record of Lotus War RPG or something. Like that's something I would only see on a console. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Records of Lotus War, I mean that's an old school anime, fantasy style anime, and they've always had some awesome games. But it's those type of games that I grew up playing that were only on like Sega Saturn or NEC PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16, those Japanese based consoles. But I do agree with you because so Xbox was courting Sega not too long ago. Just kind of talking, but Microsoft has been in position to like buy up all these studios. So it wouldn't surprise me that they might try to procure some exclusive like Japanese based studios or maybe some exclusive partnerships to get some exclusive Japanese based titles to not only help push their consoles a little bit more in the eastern countries, but to also like appease the fans in the western countries who are fans of these genres.
Yeah. So one thing I'd
Okay,
like to
but
point
who?
out about like Microsoft is like the Xbox 360 versus the Xbox One versus like what they are today. What is their console again? Sorry, I'm not.
Xbox Series X.
Xbox
Series X.
Series X is being built under a totally different philosophy than those were. One
Oh yeah.
like one is
Being
legacy.
built to sell Ultimate Game Pass subscriptions.
That's correct, and they don't have to limit it to console sales either, right?
Exactly.
You know,
You can play as long as you're a subscriber to Game Pass. You could play on Xbox, PC, or cloud.
yep. So if they continue to, with that, and by the way, that's been their whole entire
Hey,
strategy anyway. But
wait a second.
Mhm.
Are the passes for PC and console separate, or is it unified? Because like I seem to remember like PC being a slightly different thing.
Well, as far as I know, there's just Xbox Game Pass, which is a nine ninety nine a month subscription, and you can only access it through Xbox. But then like um, the Ultimate Pass allows you to play across 3 platforms, and that's 15.99 a month.
Yep. So for that, there's no difference then.
Yeah, for $15, $15 a month.
Gotcha.
Hmm. Okay. Um. I, yeah, I know that, but I'm looking at I'm on Microsoft's website right now, and then there's pages for Xbox Game Pass and another page for Game Pass for PC.
Oh, I'm not sure, unless it's a separate subscription for PC.
Yeah, I'm not clear on this either, and I think that that's part of the confusion here. But I
Mhm.
have heard that it. So what's the issue? It's like, so it's not the same.
Yeah, it's like you can.
How?
I would imagine there'd be like different games available for for each side.
Okay. Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Either that or it is the same and it's just not. I mean, like that's a good question to ask, and I don't know the answer to it. So, um, but if it is, then that's an advantage. It's like, well, why even buy the console if you can just and you have a good game rig? Why bother?
Hmm.
So that's a good question to ask.
Yeah, I mean, if you even if you don't own the console and you just subscribe to Ultimate Game Pass, I mean, you could play on your PC or your phone or your tablet, whatever you prefer, whatever supports Game Pass.
Do you have that up on the screen, or you got what that the Ultimate Game Pass is that?
Okay. Okay, it says Xbox Game Pass Ultimate apparently is for both on PC and Xbox, and that's the $15 a monthly price.
Okay, so is there a separate one for PC versus X.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There is a difference between those two.
Okay.
Interesting. So it's like, hey, you could practically have it then just for that subscription cost, I guess.
And see, they're actually like really putting the concept of Netflix of gaming into practice. Like, I mean, like I subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, and like, it is awesome in the sense of like first party games are available to you day one at launch. And then, that's how I got Gears of War 5 and was able to play that. And then once Gears of War 5 went on sale and got like cheaper, you get those like Game Pass or gold, discounts. It's like, this is a game I want in my permanent library and it's only $10. Shoot, I'll buy it. And so I kind of like that model where it's almost like, kind of like GameFly used to do, where you just rent games and then if you want to keep it, you could buy it off of them. Like this is the same, concept in a digital model. Just wait for the game to get cheaper. Like I think I haven't played it yet, but I think damn, what was it? Forza Horizon 4. Like I recently downloaded that, once I got my Series X, and I've heard that's such an amazing game, like beautiful game. But I have the capability to play it, so I just downloaded it and probably hop on this weekend and check it out. But it truly is like the Netflix of gaming, and it has like lots of games up there, and they kind of rotate out. They have hundreds of games up there, so you will never be bored.
And there's that. Yep.
Yeah. I would like to know like, get back to like what we were talking about with like Microsoft in Japan. It's like, I mean, which company can you imagine like developing exclusively for Microsoft? Because I mean, I can imagine them like getting all like the it's like versions of the games that PS4 is getting. But I mean, I can't imagine like who would be willing, which Japanese company would be crazy enough to sign up, be an exclusive developer for Microsoft. And no, I don't think Platinum would do that.
No, I personally, and I thought about this before, and I think I've heard this conversation brought up on sites like IGN and GameSpot. Like, I think Konami would be a good pickup not only for Microsoft, but then like for Konami itself. Like, yeah, they got money from their like pachinko side and other stuff that they do, but when it comes to the gaming side, like they've been dormant for a long time. And I would love to see like Microsoft kind of help this studio or put more resources into this company to like build development teams to resurrect like Castlevania, uh shoot like relaunch or continue on with Metal Gear, resurrect Silent Hill. I think that would be a phenomenal pickup for Microsoft as far as like a first party, or I mean not first party, but like a partner, a partner studio under the Microsoft Studios umbrella, and that company has a library and franchises that really stand out with not only like current gamers but like gamers our age as well. And so I think that would be the first company that should come under their stable.
I agree with your thinking behind that. None of your reasons are wrong. I don't think it's going to happen because Konami apparently is doing pretty well by itself to the point where I don't think they would see like like, hey, it's like we're making enough money. It's like in this, and like we don't need. I don't see why we need to share like any kind of profits with Microsoft. I mean, we're not desperate right now. So,
Well, just
and also
well,
interesting enough, like Konami's actually had the best-selling game in Japan for like on the Switch for like the last month now.
what's that?
It's called the Momotaro Dentetsu. It's apparently like a series, latest in the series of virtual board games. Sold over like 1.7 million copies on the Switch
In Japan, right?
in Japan. Yeah, it's probably never gonna come over here because
Exactly.
I think it's like you wouldn't think that such a thing as like too Japanese, it's like would be a thing these days. But I think that this is something that may qualify, and plus, I would think that Konami would just look at us and go, "Huh, Americans, you're not going to get this."
Damn, because you know, I'm just so frustrated with Konami, dude. Because at one point they were a name that I would put in like on a pedestal of like top studios like back in the day. Like when I thought
If
of
Konami
like
made it, it had to be good.
yeah, exactly. Like back in the day, like when I talked about like dope games and dope publishers, like out of my mouth were always like Capcom, Konami, Nintendo, Sega. Like they were in the high tier of like beat 'em ups with like turtles and um damn like Cowboys of Moo Mesa, and they had like dope like Bucky O'Hare. They had like really awesome
Sunset Riders.
and Sunset Riders too. Like they had awesome like arcade like co-op beat 'em ups. They had like um Silent Hill, Metal Gear. Like I mean, I loved a lot of the franchises that came out of there. I think wasn't Suikoden the Suikoden series out of them too.
Yeah, it was, and like
Mhm.
like its creators, like they just figured, hey, we're gonna do what Iga did, and we're doing our own like Kickstarter backed like version of Suikoden with the serial numbers filed off. I
So I
can't
mean,
remember what the name of it is, but apparently it did really well, and it'll be coming out in another couple of years.
okay, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that because it's like that's what seems to be happening. Like these legendary developers from, I mean, Capcom had a couple too, but I mean, from Konami, like Iga and Kojima, like they ended up leaving the company, and it seems ever since then they don't have anyone in there that could like continue on with these franchises or develop anything new. Like I recently bought the Castlevania collection on Switch when it was on sale for $5, and yeah, that's fun. But it's like, dude, I would love to play like a new Castlevania type game, but Bloodstain was that for me. Thank you, Iga. But I just get disappointed on how far they've slipped in the gaming space, and just kind of really root for them. I think that Silent Hill PT trailer that came out on PS4, and the anticipation for Silent Hills. Like I'm not a diehard Silent Hill fan, but I was at the time I was like really hyped for that game and would have jumped on that. I think the last time I was hyped for a Silent Hill game was Silent Hill 2. And so
Way back when.
way back in my day when the PS2 first came out. And so I really want them to like really get back in the gaming space a little bit more hardcore, a little bit more seriously. And I see your point, Jason. Like, yeah, I mean, if you're making board games that sell a lot and are successful in Japan, I mean, that's great. But you used to have more of a worldwide presence and actually like contributed to the overall gaming space, and I want to see that a little bit more once again.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think the Konami that we grew up with has been dead and gone like a long like for a long time now. It's like
Yeah.
I mean, like I first got a clue that this was the case when it's like I went to E3 one year and I wound up seeing like wound up like seeing the like it was when they were like promoting Metal Gear Solid 3, and
Hmm.
I was at their booth, and like they had like all yeah, like Metal Gear was like front and center, but they also just had all this other like licensed like kiddie stuff. And I was thinking, wow, this is weird. I mean, it's like for every like game I'm interested in, there's like two that are made for like an audience that is like emphatically like not me, and good for them all. But it's like this is like the Konami that not the Konami that I grew up with, and I think it took like them firing like Kojima from Metal Gear Solid 5 before I realized that, oh wow, it's like like what has Konami done in the last few years that wasn't Metal Gear that I was interested in. The
Hmm.
Konami I love, it's just been a zombie waiting for that headshot to like put it out of my misery.
Yeah, I think the last games from them that I loved was Metal Gear Solid 5, and then before that, the Castlevania Lords of Shadow series, and those were the last like two franchises.
Pretty soon, Konami will be making those interactive urinals.
Yeah.
I think that wasn't that on the live stream we were watching last weekend.
Oh yeah, Midnight Madness. Yeah, it's like that.
Yep.
That was Sega, but Sega's already done that, and it's like it's like that's a thoroughly Sega thing to do.
Too hilarious, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
but I
I
think
think it's not. I mean that's like a fun kind of crazy. I mean Konami looks at it and go, huh? No, it's like it's too dignified. Like we're gonna stick with our our patchy slot games.
Pachinkos, yeah, that's right. They're totally into that, aren't they? I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, making money. They don't care. Wow, that's sad
Yeah.
though.
But
When you go there,
The future of
but
Metal Gear is in pachinko.
but to your point earlier too, like maybe not actually buying a studio, but I think their talks with Sega might lead to some Sega based related exclusives in the sense of like I remember when the original Xbox came out, Jet was it not Jet Set is it yeah, Jet Set Radio Future was exclusive to Xbox, and I think that's the only console it's been on. And then I think they had like a exclusive Sega Rally game along with that. But
And then Panzer Dragoon Orta as well.
and then Panzer Dragoon Orta. So I think those conversations from last year might lead to some exclusive titles coming to the Xbox, and I think that'll work out as well too. Because I know like during the uh, I guess it was Xbox One generation, Xbox not original but Xbox One. Insomniac, they're a company that's always been affiliated with Sony, but they had that exclusive with Insomniac called Sunset Overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome game, fantastic game. Only exclusive for Xbox done by Insomniac, but that's a reason why I've kept my Xbox around. My Xbox One, and that's like one of the top 5 games I kept it around for. And I love that game. And so I think some partnerships with certain studios out in Japan might bolster their Japanese fandom library. Like they've always had a good working relationship with Miss Walker Studios. I mean, even the Xbox 360 generation had really 2 dope RPGs for that console. So maybe they can extend and rekindle that relationship and bring out some more RPGs on there. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's possible.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think that I don't think like they're gonna like Sega's gonna be up for sale anytime soon. Because like, I mean, people love to like go to this thing like whenever like oh like Microsoft they hear Microsoft talking about whenever they hear bad news for Sega, it's kind of like oh wait, is Microsoft gonna buy them out now? Is someone gonna buy them out? But I think Sega is still too entrenched for that to happen.
Oh yeah, it's
And
not it's not going to be a complete buyout. It's more like
oh yeah,
partnership on certain titles.
yeah, and I think we actually, to be honest, I think we might actually see some of that happening right now because, um, I mean, like with Yakuza, Like a Dragon, like when it came out over here in the U.S., it hit it hit like the PS4, Xbox One, and PC day and date along with the Series X.
Hmm.
Didn't come to the PS5 for whatever reason, and a lot of people think that they're thinking like that smells of timed exclusivity right there.
Oh
But
yeah,
at the same time, I'm pretty sure Sony felt that hey, everyone who's going to buy this game is going to buy it on the PS4 as it is. So, here's something crazy right now because Judgment, the not Yakuza game that's basically a Yakuza game only not featuring any of the main cast. It basically features Takuya Kimura like playing this disgraced former lawyer like who goes around beating up people in the search of justice, and it's great fun.
Mhm.
And it came out on the PS4 back in 2019, and well, it's getting the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions in another couple in April, and it's not getting a PC version. It's getting a Stadia version.
Wow.
interesting.
So yeah, so I mean, you'd think that like someone at Google just basically rolled up to Sega and said, okay, how much do you want for like make this game exclusive? What games can you make exclusive for Stadia? And Sega's like, well, hey, Judgment, like we got that. It's like, okay, how much do you want for it? This much. Like, fine, here, take it. All right, we got ourselves a Stadia exclusive for the PC side of things, and
What?
I
Well,
yeah, I don't even. That's the only way I can think of that happening because I mean Stadia, man.
I mean that kind of makes sense because I read earlier this week that Stadia disbanded their in-house studios, their original gaming studios, so they have to rely on third parties. So
Yep.
makes sense that they'd go out and say instead of pouring money into our own internal R&D and development, let's take that money and pay for other titles on our platform or exclusivity on our platform.
Just redirecting the flow of money.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
Google's got deep wallets, deep
Yep.
pockets, as they say, right? Deep pockets.
hmm
Yeah.
Yep.
I-
And
I
wow,
mean-
this speaks volumes about the health of Stadia as it is too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dissing them, and it's not necessarily for me. But I mean, I've actually played Stadia at my buddy Rob's house, and I mean, he has Frontier, and it's a great connection, and playing through the cloud, it wasn't a bad experience, especially like testing out Samurai Showdown and the lag input. Like it wasn't that bad. Like I was still able to play pretty well, and my moves were fluid. And if the bandwidth did drop, I mean, you might see like a resolution degradation, but it didn't affect the gameplay. So I mean the capability was there. It's awesome. However, in order to have that awesome experience, you do have to have the home network to support it. And so I'm wondering if the reasoning why it's not like selling like hotcakes is that maybe there's not a whole lot of like you're basically like negating a set of gamers that might live in like rural based areas and not have like great connections, or maybe not have internet at all, or maybe still rocking with net zero, still using dial.
Well,
I can play these games as just as good like on the consoles I already have. Thank you very
well,
much.
but
Yeah.
let me ask you this question. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing. How much of an advantage do those same people have with something like a PS5 that has no like disk drive, and it's pretty much it's like a download and play game. And it's like,
Oh,
okay, yeah, I can download it on my 33.3 modem, but
those
it's
those
like,
those people are screwed. They'd have to get the disc based version.
yeah, exactly. Well, they would have to, but that's not the one that they're pushing. So it's sort of like, okay, well,
Well, well,
and then there's the whole thing of online play, which is another thing. So it's like if you're going to online play, you're still going to need the bandwidth, which is a disadvantage to all if you think about it.
so that is true. But I remember I was watching this documentary on Amazon about like like basically like small store, small mom and pop video game stores across America, and especially like those suffering from business sales due to COVID. And then there's this one store out in like I want to say Kentucky or somewhere in Kansas. Like those people who live in rural areas, like they actually go to this store to use their internet to download updates and stuff for their games, and then take their console home and play with the latest and greatest. Now, mind you, that's not everybody, but excuse me, that's an option. But no, I totally agree with you. Like you can't go disc base, or I mean, you can't go discless, or get the all digital console living in that area, because yeah, if you're rocking like just a chintzy DSL connection, or if you're still rocking a 56K modem for some reason, like you're not going to be experiencing anything on these consoles. Like you actually have to like go to these places that offer like, hey, can I borrow your internet just to update?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you do buy like the disc based versions, I mean, even the disc based versions, you have to like do some initial updating. So you do that maybe once a month, at the store you might have picked up your console and game from, and then at least you can go home and play like a little bit standalone. But there are disadvantages to living in those type of areas, not having a connection. But I just feel like having your own setup, having your own hardware, at least there's some type of functionality where you could do something or play something.
Yeah, I guess that when it comes to, I mean, because of the current situation. You got a lot
Mhm.
of children at home who are going to school at home,
Mhm.
and I've heard weird stories about like parents like going to McDonald's and stuff like that with their laptop because they can't afford the connection.
Oh
And it's sort
man.
of like this is like a thing. And I was like, oh, well, this is weird. So like, okay, so it was never a priority in that household anyway. So or there was something else going on. But yeah, it's not like, I know, and I love for everyone to be connected and online and all that other stuff. But I also acknowledge, I'm like, there's a lot of people, even in the cities, who don't do this because they just don't have access to it.
Or they try to leech off other people's like Wi-Fi connections.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, I mean, that would be true, like oversaturation of a circuit,
Hmm.
depending on how many people you have living next to you.
Yeah, yeah,
I
true.
mean, and it's like, oh, I can only, and oh man, it just dropped out again. Okay, well, it's not perfect, but there are issues no matter what you say. Now, definitely with the Stadia, with them changing, I'm gonna agree with you, Jason. They're with their game studios closing, that's not really a good sign for them. So it's not a bad concept, but it
Mm-mm.
is a concept that they all are working towards. They're just doing it slightly differently. They're saying like, hey, look, our servers are going to be focused on this. It's like it's like cloud computing basically, and then instead of you having the hardware there, you just connect to our hardware, and that's basically how that works, right? And that's, by
Hmm.
the way, everybody is shifting in that direction.
Hmm.
Okay. Hey,
And if
here's
yep.
no, here's something to consider. I mean, why you have to wonder why Google felt now was the right time to launch on Stadia when it's like, hey, if they had their games, they just had their games like development studio going. Why not just keep making your killer apps, and like when you finally have something like exclusive to this new platform you're trying to sell, why not wait? It's like just wait and announce it then because clearly, like me, it's like they said, like when they were still like a few years off from like having like a quality like AAA game. It's like under their like to actually show everyone, and everyone when Saudi was announced, everyone thought, wow, this is like a great idea for games for like 20 for the year 2050, not the present day.
hmm Yeah, well, maybe 2050 is a little too far off, though. I think humanity progresses a little faster than that. Um,
2049 then.
no, no, that's a 20 XDX. Um,
I see what you did there, and I approve.
um, but what was it? Stadia was like $100 or something like that. I mean, that's not a really big investment anyway. And then
Well,
you
I was
have
on a
to have a
monthly feed, right?
well,
Well,
okay, and I'd say if you're
Oh,
gonna
that's right.
play
They
online,
dropped the month.
everything
Did
has
they drop the monthly fee? Or I can't remember now. It's like,
no. So like, you could play as long as you log in your Google account. You could like buy any of those games and play it, but you'd be playing it like 1080p. If you subscribe, which was like a 9.99 a month subscription, then you have the capability to stream in 4K.
yeah.
hmm.
So and I don't consider the subscription thing to be, if it were a unique thing to Google and in the Stadia, I would be like, yeah, but it's not. Let's face it. It's this, we were just talking about that actually, with the Xbox service, and it's like,
Mm.
okay, well, all right, Nintendo has a service, Microsoft has a service, Sony has a service. I mean, it's like, so it's not like that's a unique element either, right?
No.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, okay, well, then it's just the hardware and then the bandwidth. People have to pay for the bandwidth, and that's the
Hmm.
thing. That's probably a thing. And you know what baffles me, and I'll just say this right off, is that we spend more for bandwidth on our smartphones than we do our home connections.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
you know it's sort of like, well, I don't know, I don't have an unlimited data plan, but I don't need it for my cell phone, quite honestly. It's sort of like, I don't. go out a lot. I used to travel more in my older jobs, but now I'm just like here.
Mhm.
You know, and when I travel, it's like, oh yeah, you know, like when I was visiting California for a bit during the Christmas time, I was using my internet connection a little bit more on my phone rather than borrowing my parents or something. And then and at the hotel, I was using theirs, but you know, I was leaning on a little bit more, and I drained it out. And I was like, oh, I have a couple of, you know, because I have like an 8 GB plan. I'm not gonna lie about that. I don't have an unlimited plan because I can't justify using an unlimited plan.
Right.
I can't. It's like it costs this much, and so I just paid the overage charges, and my bill stays really low, so I don't care. You know, well, low if you want to consider. I spend about my internet from ATT Uverse is about I think it's like $110. And that is I forget what I get, but I get an insane. It's like a gigabit. I don't know. Is that right? I can't even say. But you know, my speeds are pretty decent, upload and download, and it's fiber. So, but then you know, and that's no TV. I don't get TV because technically a cable cutter, I guess. But then, you know, when it comes to my cell phone bill is it's more. Okay.
Hmm.
And I do have my daughter on there.
Mhm.
And I am paying off her phone because her last one kind of just died. Um, thanks, Apple.
That's an
But
another
you know,
story.
but I still, you know, even without me, you know, like paying for her new phone, it would be like $125 a month, which is more than that's, and I don't, you know, it's like, all right, and it's not unlimited; it's 8 gigs a month, you know, so very weird. But then again, like I said, there's a lot of places, and I don't feel like hooking into everyone's Wi-Fi. That's weird sometimes to me. It's like I do have a VPN on my phone, but um, I still don't want to do that. Regardless, you know, cooking in the McDonald's Wi-Fi is kind of like, well, I don't really have a good analogy for that, you know. But I'm not going to sit there and game. Well, if you
Nah.
can, if you can sit there and game, you'd have to park outside.
Yeah. Nah, like if you're that cheap to like have to leech off somebody to play games online, then you need to like get another hobby because
Yeah,
you know you got to invest in like good internet connection and steady internet connection because you know I know everybody's situation is different, but it kind of sucks like you know when you're playing a game like a fighter or something and their signal is weaker and it's choppy and you get cut out
been
of the
there,
game. Yeah.
been there. I have, but it's like, oh, back in the day, you and I used to play online, and actually ours was pretty decent. I never had a drop out of your connection, Myron.
No.
But yeah, later on, I was like, oh yeah, you can tell this. You know, I'm trying to play with somebody in Brazil, and it's like, I'm like, what's going on, man? Just died. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, this season that we're in, you know, with staying home more frequently has really bolstered the gaming industry as a whole, which is great because at the same time, like, you know, it's made more fans, and then of course, like, it fuels like the demand that it fuels the demand in a way where competition is healthy. Like Xboxes are selling and PlayStation 5s are selling, and it's like, okay, at this point, like who's gonna get the doper games and who's gonna like get the wave of releases. So Sony came out the gate with Miles Morales, which was awesome, and then it came with Astro's Playroom, which is an
and
awesome game to really show off the capability of the DualSense controller.
and
Uh,
Demon Souls.
and Demon Souls, I never count that because I hate that game, but it's a great game. It's a great game, but if you value not cracking your television screens, like it can be infuriating. Like, like at least that's how it was for me when I had the original Demon Souls on PS3. I was like, man, screw this game. I took it back to GameStop. But Xbox, on the other hand, like I mean, great, powerful console. Didn't necessarily have like a whole lot of exclusives. Actually, it had really
Zero exclusives.
it had like it's a thin line. Like it had zero exclusives at launch, but then its exclusives were pre-existing games that had the smart delivery to upscale to the console, like Gears of War 5, Ori, and the Will of the Wisps, like Horizon, Forza Horizon 4. But I mean, those games technically came out during the Xbox One generation. It wasn't anything new to play, so to speak. But
Yeah.
now they have the Medium, which is actually their first technically exclusive to Xbox Series X game. I have it through Game Pass and haven't checked it out yet, but it's a survival horror game that looks pretty awesome. So I just got to play it during the daytime, on the weekends.
So honestly, I have been very impressed with what the Nintendo eShop has been putting on. I mean, there's some really cool stuff in here.
And probably out of all the consoles, I do play my Switch the most. Like currently, I'm playing Mega Man X Collection,
Mhm.
but I downloaded Double Dragon Neon and Scott Pilgrim
Yeah.
versus the World. So I've been playing like those beat 'em ups. But I agree with you. Nintendo eShop has not only great games up there, but when they do have their sales, that's when I kind of pick up like those loose ends, like, oh cool, Toad's Treasure Tracker's on sale or whatever.
Mhm.
But I really do wish that they would kind of spruce up the store. I don't know, like give the UI a facelift to kind of like sort through and make it easier to find stuff.
I'm gonna agree with you on that. Like, I can sit there and scroll for like 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and just go like, I'm a little tired of looking. Like,
Yep.
it's not a really great. Now, if you're looking for something, they do have categories and there is a search function, but it's just yeah, I think they should really redesign it. But some of the stuff I have seen, yeah, definitely impressive. But man, I get tired sometimes. Like, what's this?
Yep. And same thing with like the console's UI itself. Like I have a 512 gig SD card in my system, and I got a crap ton of games, and I even get tired of searching through my own games. I'm like, dude, where the hell is Owlboy? And
Yeah.
okay, it's in the middle somewhere. So I'm like, I wish they would robust that up too. Like, hey, make a folder system so I can kind of sort by RPGs and platformers, so on and so forth. Because now, like, when I get that itch for like, I don't know, snipper clips or something, that was one of the first games that I bought. And of course, like your game kind of shifts up the ladder based off of like when you last played it. And so like sometimes like when I'm looking for older games, like I haven't played this game in a while, like it's probably at the bottom of the list somewhere. But then it's like, a game I might have bought like mid last year. It's probably in the middle of my library right now. It's like, oh crap, dude, where is Dragon Ball Xenoverse? Okay, there it is.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Nope. Totally agree with you on that. I totally agree.
So I hope we get a UI upgrade this year for sure.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I'd like to see that. And
Maybe it'll even come with the Switch Pro. That'd be
oh, you think?
Here's hoping, dude.
I'm thinking that might be it. But they may offer it to everyone, obviously. But then it's sort of like, hey, but the Switch Pro has this.
I'm waiting for like a Switch Pro or upgraded Switch because like, oh John, you upgraded. I still have the launch edition that kind of has like the weaker battery life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got that. I have the. I also have the light version that is the Pokemon exclusive.
Nice.
One. I think that one's pretty cool. No, I will not buy the Animal Crossing version. But that's okay. I know that that's some people's thing, and that's good for them, right? So, but yeah. So Yeah, it's pretty cool. What I've really liked downloading on that is like arcade classics. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not kidding you. Like, I download like a long time ago. I downloaded like Punch Out from the arcade,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's a side by side thing instead of like having the two screens, one on top, one on the bottom. But
I got
man,
that
it's
too.
so freaking cool. Like all of
Mhm.
those, I just started downloading. I was like, oh yeah. So, but that again, there's another thing. Like, I wish they would just have a listing of those, right? Instead of me
Mhm.
scrolling through like 50 games to try to find the one. I even tried to do like searches, and I can see, some of the cache type of suggested searches that they're, it's like, hey, yeah, arcade, blah blah blah. So anyway, yeah, good stuff. I mean, Nintendo's certainly doing pretty well with their console, so they're not worried.
Yeah, all the analysts I've read have basically said they expect the Switch to keep being the best-selling console of of this year as well.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like Nintendo's, they've still they're managing their trick of like giving this one quality game to care about at least through the first couple months. Because like we've got Bowser's, I mean like the Mario 3D World and
Mhm.
Bowser's Fury this month. We've
Mhm.
got oh what was it? Oh, Monster Hunter Rise. It's like next month, and then there was something else after that. That
Bravely Default comes out this month.
yeah, there's that, but there was something else that I was just looking at, and like it just completely slipped my mind because it's not something I'm gonna buy. Oh
Mm.
well, I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it'll come back to me in a second, or as soon as this page that I clicked on to look at it comes back to me. But
Yeah, so that's pretty good stuff.
Now another interesting thing or bit of news that I heard and my buddy.
oh, a new Pokemon Snap in April.
Oh
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
oh yeah. I'll probably cop that.
Did you the original? Did you have the original?
I played it, but I never owned it because I think by the time it came out, I had already traded in or chucked my N64 because of Dreamcast.
Ah, um, it's fascinating because no, I've never played it, but I can see them like going like just because Pokemon, you got that Pokemon Go. I wonder if they're gonna have functionality that will integrate with that. I mean, like that could
Mhm.
be like this whole like crazy like system, right? Of a game, and because Pokemon, man, that's a franchise, man. That's a good franchise for them.
Yep.
I mean, it's not 100% theirs. It's Game Freak, but still.
it's not going multi-platform anytime soon.
Nope. Well, I mean, outside of like this whole, because I think you can transfer like Pokemon from Pokemon Go into the current generation of games.
Yes.
I just haven't done it because I never played Pokemon Go, much to the
Mhm.
chagrin of other people who have, and they say I'm bad for not doing that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to walk into walls and stuff. I know that's the
Yeah.
joke, right? It's like don't want to be hit by a car as I'm hunting for things on the street.
Or you can just be lazy and see like what Pokemon are near you, and then just walk to your backyard and catch a couple.
Pretty much. That's probably what I would do.
Because I don't pay for it, but I do have that Pokemon Home, and that's how you transfer Pokemon between Go and the other generations or whatever.
Got it.
But I haven't really utilized it that much just because of all the Pokemon games that I own and you own too. It's kind of like I've traded so much and they are where they're at. Like I kind of
Mhm.
want to keep them there just to go back and play because I still have like Pokemon Black and
Yeah.
like the Silver remake and I have a bunch of legacy Pokemon games, Diamond
Yeah.
and Pearl. So I kind of
Well,
just keep.
the one thing that a lot of people who are non-Pokemon players don't know is that outside of maybe some of the original games, like I think from the Advance forward, there was always a path to transfer Pokemon you caught
Yep.
all the way through like the latest versions of the games, which really like blew my mind. Now on the DS, I think they created a special app to do that, it was like Pokemon Bank, I think is what it was called,
Oh, that
and you
was
could
it.
Huh?
I think that was the 3DS generation
The
where this.
3DS generation. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
3DS generation. You're right. You're right. Just to transfer those, and it just kind of blew my mind. And I told people about this not too recently, because at our work they do this little forensics thing,
Hmm.
and the guy decided he was going to talk about like on Friday. So he decided he was going to talk about Pokemon, and I was like, "This is hilarious! This is great!" And hacking Pokemon, and I was talking with my colleague, and I was like, "Yeah, I know what he's talking about." Um, um, but it's pretty funny because and I was like, "Yeah, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, yeah, you can." There's always been this path for people to transfer their Pokemon down, from some of the other games, and until they came out, that's why they came out with on the 3DS, they came out with like Gold and Silver,
Hmm.
so that you could actually get them. I think you'd have to just play through the game, because
You do.
Gold and Silver were part of the first generation of from some of the first Pokemon games on the Game Boy that had
Hmm.
no transfer path really. So
Hmm.
it allowed people like, oh, I could get Mew and things like that. So yeah, funny stuff, interesting stuff. That's a cult. Pokemon's a cult.
Yeah,
It sounds about right.
it's a peaceful cult.
It is a peaceful cult. That's right. They're nothing like Star Trek fans.
But but
I love
switching
Star Trek.
I'm
but
not going
switch,
to argue with you on that.
Yeah.
but switching gears from Pokemon, one
Mhm.
one one bit of interesting news I'm stoked for 2021 is that we're supposed to get a new Neo Geo console this year.
Yeah, you were telling me about that offline. That's right.
Yeah, I guess like the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is like a majority shareholder of SNK, and he's a big fan of it too. So there's talk about releasing a new console, whatever that may be. I don't know if that's like a brand new console in the sense of like SNK developing games exclusive for it again, or more like that Neo Geo X Gold that I still kick myself in the ass for not picking up years ago. Another console like that, and so I'm excited to see what they come out with because I think especially last year once we started sheltering in place, I bought like a bunch of random crap and. One of the things I picked up was one of those little Neo Geo mini arcades for like
Mm.
I think it was on sale for $40, and it has like 40 games on there, and so like that was awesome to play like during my lunch break, like, oh, let me play like a quick match of Mark of the Wolves. And SNK Neo Geo games are just like they're timeless, dude. Like, I mean, I remember spending a lot of time and money when I was in the bowling league back in like sixth, seventh, eighth grade. Those were like the machines that they'd have in the alley, so I'd always play like before practice, and of course like after we were done with our competitions and stuff. Like, Neo Geo's always had a special place in my heart, so I'm excited to see what kind of device they come out with this year.
Yeah, that'll be kind of cool to see. Man, Neo Geos, man. I remember back in the day. It was like there is they had a home console, and then
Yep.
you had the arcade ones, and the arcade ones were just basically
The home console.
they're the home console.
Mhm.
And then they had like slot like and most of your cabinets had like a choice of 4 of the games.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's insane. That's
But the
just
the home console was unattainable to most people.
yeah. Yeah, I
'Cause
never saw one. And I thought it was pretty expensive, I think, for its
they were.
day.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they were unattainable. They were
Yeah.
like $500 for the console, which was like the most the most expensive console, for its time. And I've only known one person, I only had one friend that actually had one. And games range from like $100 to, maybe 200-300 bucks because they were like the big giant like RAM carts that you would put in. Um,
So using a little bit of quick Google foo, the introductory price of the Neo Geo was $649
there you go.
in $1997. Okay.
It was a premium product, much like the
Yeah.
PS3 was back in its day.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
um, And I don't even know what in today's dollars that would be, but it wouldn't be 600. No, it'd be way more. It'd probably be close to
Yeah.
$1,000. Like that's just I hey, how about $1,000 console? Would you turn your
Nah.
nose? Would you plink down $1,000 for a console? It depends, I guess. Huh?
No, I
But
think
no,
I
that's a lot. That's out of the reach of most consumers. And if you
yeah.
remember, even
Most
back,
consumers who aren't Ken Kutaragi.
yeah, yes. What is it? If you had, what was there was like, was it PlayStation 3 when they released? Like they had like two versions, and one was like, it was just people were just
Yeah.
like, nah, that's way too expensive.
Yeah,
You know?
the there was the $600 model, which I think
Yeah.
had like 4 USB ports, and then it had like the SD card slots, and then there
Yep.
was like a 500, and it had of course a bigger hard drive, and then
Yep.
there was a $500 model which had like 2 USB ports. I don't think it had the I don't think it had the SD card slots in there at all, and the hard drives I think was what
20 or
30.
60. It was 20 or 60, if I'm not
It,
mistaken.
it was 20 because I think the higher model was 60.
Mm-hmm.
This little article here says $650, but roughly equal to $1,145 in 2016 bucks when adjusted for
Wow.
inflation. Yeah, that's hey, mom, no.
Mhm.
That's how that conversation went. No.
Exactly. Because I remember my buddy Joji back in like seventh, eighth grade. He had the Neo Geo CD, and I remember if you guys haven't seen this anime on Netflix called High Score Girl, I highly recommend it because it is a love letter to the arcade and video game culture of the '90s. But I remember he had a Neo Geo CD, and he had Samurai Showdown 2, and it's like, oh, dude, like that was when Samurai Showdown 2 was like still new. And it's like, oh, dude, like we went over to his house and play, and it was a 1 speed drive, and it was the longest loading times I can ever remember in my life because you could actually like pick your character, and as you hit enter to get ready to get to go play, we'd go get some snacks and make a sandwich and shit, and by the time we were done, like it might be 70% done, but but yeah, we've come a long way. But I remember, at that time it was like, oh man, Neo Geo's moving to disc-based format. It's super clean. It looks better than the arcades. This is awesome.
It's the way of the future, man. Just as
Yep,
long as you got the patience for it.
you got to have the patience for it. Which now now we're spoiled. Now I don't. So because recently, Control Ultimate Edition came out on PS5, like the next gen version, and so like I've tested that out, which is freaking awesome, and it just loads so much faster. Like running it from the onboard SSD, like it's like I can't migrate it back off to my USB hard drive. I'm too spoiled by it now. I need more SSD storage.
Yes. Yeah, I just don't want to see. I'm right at the cusp of like, okay, I've got 512 in my Switch, my main Switch,
Hmm.
and I'm like, I don't want to cut for the next level because it's like a huge price jump. That's my biggest problem.
I'm
Like, I
thinking
don't even know what it is, but
a terabyte. Like I'm thinking about it. Like a terabyte is the next jump after 512, and
mm,
I'm not at the point yet of like doing delete and switching, but it's getting close. Like I think I deleted Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, which was like my largest game on there. I didn't have to, but I just wanted to make that, extra cushion of space, for Mario and whatever other game is coming out. But, obviously you're gonna use less space if you buy the physical copy. I mean, it takes up less storage, but like yourself and probably like a lot of others, like at this point when it comes to the Switch, I find it more convenient to just buy digitally and just have
yeah.
the games on there
So,
and play at my whim.
so on Amazon, if you get the basic SanDisk Ultra 1 terabyte card, it's $200.
Yep, that's about right.
That sounds like crazy to me. And if you get the better performing one, it's $249. So
You just got to wait for that sale, like that
Yeah.
Memorial Day sale or something.
So the difference in price, like the Samsung like 512 is $70. So I mean it's less than per gigabyte, right? So
Mhm.
but that's still like dropping 200. That's kind of starts to get at me at that point. It's like I don't know if I want to drop 200. I'll just wait until it comes down in price. Now it might. I don't know how possible it is. I know for almost all the games on the Switch, you can just save them to the cloud and then pull them down.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have everything, on the card, but your games, I think, have to live there.
Yeah, you could it's like you can actually delete the game from the console
Yep.
fully,
Yep.
or you can, and you can still re-download it, or you can, like what you're talking about, you can archive it, where it's almost like a rehydrated storage solution where the game icon is still on there as a
hmm
pointer, and if
hmm
you want to re-download it, you click it, and then there's an option to like re-download, from the cloud or from Nintendo eShop.
Yep.
But it's part of your library.
Yep. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
when it comes to, I don't know, I guess when it comes to Switch games, I have ADD where it's like, oh man, I'm gonna play Breath of the Wild, and then you get that itch like, man, I feel like playing Astral Chain, and Astral Chain is like on my Switch. Like I could just switch over and play it real quick. So sometimes I got such a you know decent library of games on my Switch to where like my mood to like switch over to something random, and my music eclecticness is almost the same way, where one moment I'm listening to like Whitney Houston or R&B, the next moment I'm listening to like the darkest metal you have ever heard, and then
And then you
yeah,
listen to Mary Ijima
and then
sing. sing.
and then I'm listening to like all this random J-pop. Like, damn, Myron, like, what are you listening to? And the same thing with video games. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna play like 20 minutes of Mario, then I'm gonna play, Bayonetta for like an hour, or switch over to this game for like 30 minutes. It's like I don't know, like my mind switches off back and forth a lot like that until like I can actually like get into something and focus and actually like finish it. So right now you know, I'm trying to nut up and finish Resident Evil 2 remake, but man, that I mean, it's Heart Health Awareness Month, and that game is stressing me out, dude.
Uh,
That game is scary as shit. So it's like, but I do want to beat it someday,
hmm.
especially after seeing the demo of Resident Evil 8. It's kind of like, oh man, I need to beat some of these Resident Evil games I've never been able to finish. And it sucks because back in the day, I used to love, like, I mean, I still like them, but I used to love survival horror games and like would beat them all. But now it's just like, I don't know. I think because of game development and how games are now, like it's way more immersive to where like I feel like I'm getting my
Uh,
face
so
chopped
I
off.
don't. I don't. My daughter does play some of those games. I don't
Hmm.
necessarily play them, but then she'll play them, and then she'll watch that guy on YouTube who reviews all. Like he goes through the scary ass games, and I'm just like, I'm watching them with her, and I'm going like, yeah, that is pretty freaking creepy, man. Like that
Yeah,
is like that. That's some nightmare fuel, man.
it is, dude. It's like I love scary movies. I watch like the shitty and the great horror movies. Like I love the Conjuring series and some of the new stuff that's out there. But when it comes to like modern day survival horror game development, like it's just a different animal than what it used to be. Like it actually brings you in. Like it feels like
Yeah.
it brings you in to where like you truly are terrified.
hmm
And
And you're
so
hiding under like shit, trying to get away from, trying to be like quiet. It's just like it's just terrible shit, man. It's
exactly.
just crazy.
Exactly. So, but they're
Yeah.
dope games. But yeah, I'm
hmm
not gonna buy Resident Evil 8 until I beat one of these three damn Resident Evil games. Like two, two, 3, or 7. I gotta whittle down the list before like to even determine like can I still handle this genre. I need to prove to myself whether I can still handle this genre.
Yep, exactly. All right, gentlemen, I think that's about we pretty much ran it down to the core here, and I think it turned into a video game podcast, which is cool. I
Yeah.
think that's cool, man. Just throwing it out there. Maybe next week I'll have caught up on One Division. We can talk about that.
You really should,
So-
John.
Oh,
do
I
it
will.
before you get spoiled for the stuff that happened on today's episode.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching that this weekend. So, I was in the middle of a big room reformatting, and now it's complete. So, and now I can actually film some more of the reviews that I want to do and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm totally jazzed the way things turned out. So,
Awesome.
and then there's work. Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is that too.
Adulting.
Adulting. Bleh. Anyway, all right, gentlemen, we'll talk to you next time.
All right, later.
Have a good one.